time in Boise.
Oh, you've been to Boise
oh,
then?
yeah. A lot of Boise State football games.
Yeah, yeah.
You guys got to be very proud of that team.
Yeah, well, you know, I had a really hard time. My friends out there, they never let me live down that Boise State beat Oklahoma University. They keep my feet to the fire, you know, and then sometimes I think I hope they don't ever play them again because I couldn't stand another loss.
That was one of the greatest games ever played. Unfortunately, Oklahoma lost.
That's
but,
right. It was a bad
man,
thing.
that ending of that.
If you
was-
live in Idaho and you're rooting for OU, it's pretty rough when you lose to Boise State. But they have had a wonderful football program down there.
Mhm.
And they have Boise State things set up so you can buy Boise State caps and shirts and stuff like that down there, just like we do. I had to make a trip through Norman so I could pick up a hat for my grandson. He's had requests for a certain particular time, and they have, and they have a pretty nice shop set up there in Norman where you can buy about anything you want.
Oh, nice.
So,
Were you born in Frederick?
no, I was born in El Dorado. And my mother started teaching school over here when I was in the 9th grade. And so when she came over here to start teaching school, I came over here for school. Now, we always owned a farm at El Dorado, and that was where I spent a lot of my weekends and all of my summers over there. So there were a lot of the business people and people of the town that I never did get to know, because we were here for the school term, and then at the end of the school term we'd go back. We did buy a house out here on Sunnybrook Drive, my mother did, and so we stayed weekends, and my dad, who was a farmer, would come over here on the weekends a lot of times. And I also remember that the local highway patrol lived down on that same area, about a block from us. And one night I got we had had a hayride. I think it was when we were seniors, and I had my little 53 Ford in second gear racking back the nice pipes, and he came by going the other way, and I saw him turn his lights on and head back after me, and so I just pulled out, and he came up and just got his ticket book out and started writing his ticket, and I thought, oh man, my folks are gonna think I'm terrible, worst kid that ever lived. And I went home and had to confess that Mr. Lovett had given me a ticket. And she starts in with what's everybody gonna think about my son? And here I am, a teacher, trying to make it, look good. And it just went on forever. And what's your daddy gonna think? And so I had to go before the judge, and he looked at it and he said, well, Richard, have you learned anything? And I said, oh yeah, I know I'll never speed down Main Street anymore. And he said, you can go, this is just a warning ticket. So, oh boy.
Very nice. What on the '56 team? What year were you? Were you a junior or senior?
I was a sophomore in
Sophomore?
'56. Yeah.
What positions did you play? I missed that.
I was offensive tackle on the left side of the line, and as a sophomore, I warmed the bench a lot. But I did get to go in a lot of the games. Our group that we had just come up from junior high, and we did get to play quite a bit because there was some slack there after those. The big boys would get way ahead, and then we get to go play. And I would like to say that I was a starter on that team, but that didn't happen. And after that, when all of those upperclassmen moved on through, then I did all right. But we did. It was a great, just being on the team and getting to know those guys. And truthfully, I had never been around black people at all. None. And when we had none in the school system where I was, didn't even have black people that lived around us. And it was a new experience, but I don't recall ever having anything that was negative. I knew that some of them could run a whole lot faster than I'd ever seen anybody run before. And I can remember, especially Danny Miller. My gosh, that guy was a streak. And Logan wasn't very far behind him. And both of them were really nice guys, you know. I think it's great that after all these years, we still remain friends, even though we, you know, haven't rubbed shoulders or anything for many, many years. But it's just a nice thing to get together with those guys. The thing we had here last night, just being able to sit and visit and remember old remembrances and things was really, really great.
How do you guys stay in touch? Is it Ouija kind of gets everybody going? Is it email?
Ouija's pretty much the contact that I have. And Ouija's wife, Opal, she was in my graduating class, and Ouija was a couple of years older than me. And so, you know, he's the contact there.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd call telephone back and forth occasionally and find out what's going on in Hobart. And he lives in Hobart now.
Mm-hmm.
And when something like this comes up, I figured when we had the induction ceremony and all that, and I did get to go by and see our plaque that's in the Oklahoma State Sports Hall of Fame. I went by there and saw that, and it's really impressive to have that in there with all those other Oklahoma great heroes and stars and things like that, people that have really amounted to something. And it, you know, is just really a nice thing. And I figured, though, that was the end of it. And then when he called me here a while back, and I was due to make a trip back to Oklahoma. My grandkids live in Oklahoma City, and they're basketball players, and I needed to go see them play. And then I have a cousin that lives in Snyder, which is just a few miles from here, and spend some time with him and go over and check out the farm. We still own a half section of land over by El Dorado.
How many grandkids do you have?
I have two that live in Oklahoma City, and then I have a step-grandson who lives in Idaho.
Okay. So the one in Idaho is the one who wants the Oklahoma hat?
Yes, absolutely. He's been raised knowing that Oklahoma needs to win. So
Smart kid.
yeah. He knows, he better like Oklahoma.
So tell me about these practices under Coach Wild. Were they rough practices or
You know, Coach Norton was the defensive and offensive, the line coach. And yeah, they were, I was just telling some of the guys yesterday, I don't think I would want to run up and down that field and do sprints and things like that. And he had a pretty, you know, he expected a lot, but we all wanted to give it for him. He commanded respect. Never, you know, the things that he told us to do, I would give everything that I had to do it, you know, get it done for him. I remember he had a voice that was like nobody else I'd ever heard. He would, when he started, he could call my name, and I might have been at the other end of the field, but I knew it when he called me to do something, especially if I did something wrong. And I just, you know, he also, not only being the coach, but I had classes with him in high school, and I also did driver's training. He was our driver's training coach, so he kind of helped me learn how to drive. And I thought I was a pretty good driver before I got driver's training, but anyway, he coached us through some of the classes. I kind of hate to say it, but he taught us a U.S. government class, and I hated that class. If it hadn't been him, I think I would have never made it. but he was a pretty good teacher, and of course the driver's training was fun. But on that practice field, it all got serious out there. I can remember trying to scoot those, block those, I don't know what you call the things now.
The dummies or
The dummies or the
sleds?
The sled was the big thing. And I remember, a lot about trying to tackle guys like Danny Griffin, Lloyd Logan, and those guys. But Danny, I remember he kept those knees churning, and he could knock you out with your knees, the way he ran. And that was a hard job, especially being a sophomore, and I think he was a senior then.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have good remembrances of trying to do something just in practices. I remember everybody ran out for passes. I had no intention of being an end or anything like that, but we all went through the same practices. And we worked hard.
Mm-hmm. And, racial tension, did you do you remember much about that within the?
I don't remember any racial tension. And that's so strange, because just a few years after that, there was a lot of racial tension everywhere. Not at Frederick, but Coach Wild let it be known that we were going to be a team. I can remember sitting around, and he really told us that there was, and my thing, I was going out for a football team, and I knew I had to work hard or I wouldn't be on that team. And, when you take two teams and put them together, it molded together very well. Don't remember, I've thought back a lot of times, and I don't remember ever hearing any of our players have a crossword amongst ourselves. It was amazing, because we did come from different cultures, and I remember having a lot of fun. It was nice being a football player, even though when I moved to Frederick, I didn't know anything about football, not anything. I didn't even know what a TD meant. And I remember the coach hollering, "You do so-and-so and so-and-so, and that the other team's going to go for a TD." And I said, "What's a TD?" But boy, did I learn a lot in a short time. And because fortunately was a good-sized boy and worked hard on the farm all my life, and so I was in pretty good shape. And then by the time it was all over with, we molded together.
Did you work with any of the black guys on the farm?
No,
Oh,
no,
right.
we, my dad used to, there would be people that chopped cotton, and he always raised cotton, and they would be maybe 6 or 8 people, like a family, would show up different times, and they would be there when it was time to chop the weeds out of the cotton. And but I never had anything to do with them. I was usually driving tractor or something, and I didn't work alongside them. But I do remember that, and it was something different, to be playing football with those guys.
Sorry. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, we need to get a new cartridge. New tape. We did a lot of interviews today. Filled up.
All filled up. Yeah. Yeah, you guys have been busy.
Yeah. So while they're doing that, you go to any Boise State games, or are you Vandals? I guess Idaho Vandals are up there.
Yeah, we got Idaho, except for Boise State.
Yeah.
We have really been good losers. For, you know, I keep on hoping that
Are they? They're
Vandals
joining the
will-
Big East next year.
you know, I think maybe the Vandals, they keep on improving a little bit. Maybe
Mhm.
they'll get lined out and get going. But I like to, you know, Gonzaga University is over in Spokane, which is only 45 miles from where I live.
Oh, okay.
And I like to watch the Zags play basketball.
Oh, yeah.
I really like to watch people that win, and they win a lot of games.
Yeah, they do.
Coach Farr is a great coach. He's been there a long time.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
he takes those guys through the paces.
I've worked for ESPN. I worked for ESPN for a long time, so I covered a lot of basketball and done a lot of Gonzaga games.
You know, well, you did a lot of Zags. Yeah, they went to the Sweet 16, I think it was a couple of 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And
They had Morrison.
yeah, and I was rooting for the Zags, and I was rooting for Oklahoma University. And I think,
Yeah, Blake Griffin's a monster.
yeah, that was when he was playing.
Mm-hmm.
And they got beat out by Louisville, I believe it was. I think
Yeah.
Kentucky knocked off the Zags, and then they knocked off OU, and I thought, well,
Yes.
you know, fold up, go home.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah. So you're a basketball fan. I played at Murray State.
Did you?
We're the last undefeated school this year, so
Yeah.
we'll see what they can do. But yeah, it's
I have a little 14-year-old grandson, and in Oklahoma City. I say a little grandson. Took a picture of him, and we're standing, his other grandpa and me, and his dad was 6'4", and played out at Bethany at the college out there.
Mhm.
And the little boy is now 6'6". He's 14 years old.
oh my goodness.
And in the picture, I'm looking up like that, and he's looking down at me. Kind of fun thing, you know.
Absolutely.
And, he got to start on the varsity team a few games this year, and he's, you know, freshman.
Wow.
And so we're hoping that he's got a friend that he goes to school with that's on the coaching staff for the Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's gotten to go to California a couple of times for basketball camps during the summertime.
Wow.
So he's getting some advantages that, you know, just happen to fall
Absolutely.
that way.
Lon Kruger better take notice.
You know, everybody's hoping that, of course, if you think about it, I mean, there's colleges everywhere that has basketball.
Mhm.
But the pro teams, boy, you start narrowing it down a lot when it gets up there.
Yeah, I grew up with Scott Padgett, played at Kentucky, won the national championship. Then he played in Utah. He was in the NBA for 10 years, Utah and Houston Rockets. So see what it takes to get to that level. It's pretty amazing. You know, so, but no, your son keeps at it.
I keep on wondering, you see, John Stockton's son is on this Zags team.
Yeah.
And of course, he's got a lot of growing to do yet.
Mhm.
He's a good playmaker.
Yeah.
But I thought he would be starting this year, but it didn't happen. He goes in, he plays some every game.
Yeah, I just saw them the other night. They were playing somebody on ESPN. I forget who. Portland. Played Portland the other night. Yeah, so it's good. How long are you in town for?
We're gonna go to church over at El Dorado at our little First Baptist church over there and see old friends over there. And then Monday, we're gonna head back, working our way through. I think we're gonna go out through New Mexico and that way.
Oh, so you drove out?
Yeah, we drove down.
Yeah.
And we drove, we came across I-90 and cut down I-25 and shirked around, missed Denver. I don't like to drive in Denver if I
No.
can avoid it. And,
Those mountains, it can be,
we had good roads most of the way around, I think it was Casper, we ran into a little bit of black ice and had to slow way down there.
Mhm.
But we're gonna stay south as far as we can going back because Denver's had those blizzards.
Yeah, it's bad.
And I don't wanna get in that.
Yeah, no.
But, yeah, we've had a really, really nice trip.
Mhm.
And, this getting to come over here and meet up with the old football team and visit with them
Yeah.
has been really, really something. The barbecue last night wasn't bad.
Is your wife from here? Did she go to Frederick?
She graduated from Capitol Hill High School. And so, yeah, I met her in Oklahoma City. And, but she had been to Idaho, and her dad and her mom and stepdad lived in North Idaho. And so we went there on vacation a couple of times. And
Beautiful country.
I fell in love with that. I don't know if you've ever been in North Idaho.
I have. I've driven up. I've went. It's been a long time. We used to get in the car and drive growing up, and my parents would take us. We did we did 48 states in 2 weeks, and you just want to see every state and see everything. And it was, God, it's probably been 20 years, but I mean, it's been a lot of time.
Well, we've lived there 20 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to think, I'd be out working my route, and it goes up into Montana and along Kootenai Lake and up in there, and it's just absolutely beautiful, I think. And they're paying me to do this. It's a really great, my wife and I we've lived there 20 years, and we still take off on weekends and just drive and look at the scenery and look at.
You do any fly fishing up there on Snake River or any of that stuff?
I'm not a very good fly fisherman. I can sure tangle that line up good. But,
yeah, we go fly fishing probably every other year up in Montana.
Well, there's some really good fishing up in there.
Mm-hmm.
And, don't get me off talking fishing, because I can talk fishing all day. I love to go fishing. I tell my friends out there, I said, well, I don't really know anything about him until I've taken him fishing, and then I can tell you what kind of person he is,
Mm-hmm.
So,
Oh, nothing beats it.
Yeah.
I mean, especially up in that area. It's so beautiful.
yeah, they have not gotten me involved in their ice fishing yet. I've got a really good friend, and he tries every year. He said, "You gonna walk on the water with us this year?" And this year they were out ice fishing, and the ice was only about 4 inches deep when they started. And I won't get out there. I said, "Look at me, do I look like I need to be walking out there on that ice?"
Yeah.
But he said that they were catching trout, and they could look down and they could see those trout swimming around through the ice. And I thought, oh man, I know I don't want out there.
Yeah.
There's occasionally, almost every year, somebody breaks through that ice,
Mm-hmm.
so they can't push it.
We lucked out on this trip with the weather here. Man, it's like springtime or something here.
Well, it's been short sleeve
January,
weather
February.
almost ever since we've been in town.
Yeah.
Coming across Wyoming and Nebraska, the wind was blowing 30, 40 miles an hour coming down this way.
Mm-hmm.
I was sure glad when we got started headed in the right direction where it was with us.
Yeah.
We had a good drive down.
I didn't realize we were recording.
Yeah, you're still recording.
Oh, okay.
He just told me to come and camera up for him until.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize. Oh, sorry. We got off on fishing and stuff. I didn't
Yeah.
know.
Oh, yeah,
Let's go back to.
Yeah,
let's
I
stop
don't
and start it.
talking fishing.
Yeah. He didn't mention, okay. Let's get back to Frederick. So, we talked about practices and games. So, how did the you come in and out of games, substitutions, was that something that Coach Wild determined? Like he'd say, Richard, get on out there now, or how did that work?
Some of that, but a lot of times it would be, he would go down and he would send in, a whole bunch take out one team almost and put in a whole new team.
Mm-hmm.
And I do remember, those upperclassmen, they'd go out there and they would just whoop those guys, and they'd be kind of mad, and we'd go in and they'd whoop us back at us, being an underclassmen.
Yeah.
They were pretty tough, even though they weren't beating Frederick, but they were like stirred up hornets, still playing hard as they could play. And so it was a learning experience. And as a sophomore, you grow up a whole lot. I mean, your body matures, and so does your concept of what you're doing out there. You grow a lot.
As far as racial tension when you played other schools, do you remember any of that? Like anything?
I tell you what, the ones that I remember most, and there was, and I know from the crowd more than from the players, you know, there would be some racial tension there. But there was more tension, I think, between black players from other teams and the black players on our team than there was white people. It was such a new thing to have black people on any team, you know, other than an all-black team. So that's what I remember. I don't remember very many harsh words. Everybody played football and they played hard. And like I say, I wanted to try to make that team, you know. And so that's what I was concerned about. And
Yeah, I wouldn't think there'd be too many sophomores that did make the team.
well, I can think that there were, probably 8 or 9, maybe 10. I don't know, boy, this, it's hard to remember, you know, 50 years back, a little over 50 years, but, you know, you think about, you try to remember those things that happened back, that far back, and your mind just kind of goes a little bit short on some of those things, but, it's hard to think that how many of the old team are not around anymore that died in the years past. And, you know, we had a fellow named Darrell Matthews who was a great runner, and he died. I think he was police chief here in Frederick for a while, but he died at a young age. And of course, Pete died young, Pete Lewis, and I don't know, I can't even remember. I mean, there's a whole bunch of us that are not around anymore.
You mentioned Pete, and I hear about him singing songs and whatnot.
That was one of the funniest things. I've never, up until we started going places on the bus, but he would lead those songs, and it was so much fun because he just had rhythm, and he could think. You know, he would start off with a chant about something about Coach Dean Wild as a grand old coach or something like that, and he'd have the chant to go along with it. And I saw where Richie tried to write down some of those things. That he remembered how it goes, and I'm not sure if that's exactly the way it was, but we could get on that bus, and Pete could lead us, and then somebody else would come up with another lead in, and then we'd go back to the chant, and you went to that game feeling inspired by singing going over there. I remember we had prayer amongst the players, you know, when we were getting ready to play a game. And so we had a whole bunch of preachers, fellows that were preachers when they in their adult jobs. And so we had some good leadership there also. Some we had a bunch of guys that used to go down and do jail ministry and stuff like that, and that's pretty good for high school players or high school students to do that. So our language is probably better because of that, and having some guidelines there, and the things that we did.
If you could describe the 56 team in one word, how would you describe it?
Tough. They were a tough bunch of guys. disciplined, and so, you know, either one of those words could be a one-word description. But they were tough. We were tough.
How would, how do you guys want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as a part of a team that worked well together and played well together and, you know, got along, and there was a kindred spirit there. And I would like to be remembered as a team who worked hard, played hard, and got along well together. The sportsmanship, I mean, win or lose, because we were very fortunate we won, but, you know, win or lose, you learn. I mean, that's your formative years when you're in junior high and high school. It's where you learn how to live your life. I think by playing sports, it made a better man out of me. And I feel sorry for people that don't get involved in some kind of sport or some kind of activity that challenges them. So I guess that's what I would say, was just that we grew together, and we had a good time playing ball, and we did a lot of hard work. I remember, and this is getting away from the team of 56, but when I came as a senior, I had worked on the farm, but we came in and we had practices, and I sat when we were having one of those round robin discussions there, mostly coach doing the talking, and I got stung by some ants, and along with that in the practice, I got so sore I couldn't hardly run. I don't know, it was just like I was poisoned or something. But I was determined to keep on going, you know, and getting in shape for the football season. But I don't remember getting sore like that other time. But boy, man, my legs and all in there was so sore I couldn't hardly walk.
Any final thoughts?
No, I really appreciate you guys. This has been really, really great. It's been great to get together with the old group and remember some things, and see the high school here has changed a lot. It's grown. My wife and I drove over and looked at the stadium. I hadn't been in that stadium in, I know, 50 years, but we drove over there to see what it looked like, and I got a chance to go through the school and meet a few of the people that my mother taught when they were in grade school. And like I say, I was in junior high and then high school here, and then I went on to college in Oklahoma City area.
Where'd you go to college?
Hmm?
Where did you go to college?
I graduated from, it used to be Central State University, now it's, I don't even know what they call it anymore. They changed the name of it.
Did you play football?
No, I didn't play any college ball.
But you'll be watching your grandson here soon in Oklahoma, playing there, I'm sure.
Yeah, I tell you what, I will definitely figure out a way to get in when he gets a little bit older. I've got to see some of his ball games.
What's his name?
His name is Staton, S-T-A-T-O-N, and we'll see whether he gets there or not in the
Yeah.
big time. Hopefully,
I'm
he's
sure.
got the size for it and he's got the desire for it.
Absolutely.
You know, Cole Staton. And
Football's in the DNA.
Yeah. Richard, thank you so much.
well, this has been a real pleasure. I appreciate you guys, what you're doing.